Hi everyone, this is Dr. Chhoda with Ignition Time and welcome to my channel. Thank you so much for being a viewer. Thank you so much for being a subscriber. I'm going to give you an important update about the state of the stimulus negotiations and what could be potentially the biggest danger to the country. A very revealing interview with Senator Tim Kaine. He's a Democrat from Virginia, and he actually spoke with the news station, and he talked about his opinion about what should happen as far as stimulus is concerned, the $15 minimum wage. And he provided us with some rather interesting piece of news about the upcoming impeachment trial and what could potentially be an alternative to the impeachment proceedings. Let's just jump right in, everyone. Let's start with the first segment where Senator Tim Kaine said that the stimulus bill, the American Rescue Plan, will have significant Republican priorities. Now, this is important because he's clearly saying that the Democrats want to take some of the best ideas of the Republicans, potentially including targeting the next round of stimulus checks, which, by the way, is also supported by Senator Joe Manchin, the conservative Democrat from West Virginia. There he is. And so basically what Senator Tim Kaine is saying is that the bill will have significant Republican priorities, but he did say that the biggest danger to the country was going too small instead of going too big. Let's roll the tape and hear from Senator Tim Kaine, the Democrat from Virginia.
24 hours later, are you optimistic that there will be, in fact, a bipartisan COVID relief bill?
Lindsay, there's a lot of ways to get to bipartisan. So today we started the process to do a bill by budget reconciliation, which is a tool that's been used for significant bipartisan legislation, the CHIP program, Earned Income Tax Credit. It's also been used for very partisan efforts like the effort to get rid of the Affordable Care Act and the tax cut in the Trump administration. Our hope is we can use this process to quickly deliver sizable relief to an American public still suffering from COVID. And my belief is that the bill is going to have significant Republican priorities as part of the bill. I'm not going to make a prediction about whether Republicans will vote yes or no, but I think we can put together a bill that will meet the standards of what the American people expect, and it will include Republican priorities.
So you sound optimistic. The White House today said that the president still wants a $1.9 trillion relief package, and your colleagues in the Senate started the process to go it alone today. Republicans want $618 billion. Are both sides willing to give up something here in order to make this happen?
Well, I think that the challenge with giving up something off that top line is if you listen to the testimony of, say, Jay Powell, Fed chair, or former Fed chair and current Secretary of the Treasury, Janet Yellen, they're saying that we are in still dire circumstances from a health and economic standpoint, and the biggest danger to our country right now would be to go too small rather than too large. So the message that President Biden and Secretary Yellen gave to Democrats today in a conference call is go big, go soon, because the American public is still suffering. So I do think you'll see some Republican and Democratic disagreement about the top line, but I am inclined that we should go big because people are still suffering. But the component pieces of the bill can be very shaped by discussions of the kind that President Biden had with the Republican senators yesterday.
As you can see, folks, there's a strong case from multiple Democrats, including Bernie Sanders, for passing large, big, bold stimulus. So also, Senator Kaine chimed in on the importance of the $15 an hour minimum wage, essentially arguing that 2/3 of the individuals on minimum wage are women, and the minimum wage has not been raised for a long, long time. And he advocates for the fact that a person on minimum wage should be able to have a living wage, should be able to pay their bills, even if they have dependents. So very interesting arguments from Senator Tim Kaine about the importance about essentially trying to pass a $15 an hour minimum wage. I have to tell you, if Democrats don't get enough support with Joe Manchin, they might have to kick that can down the road. And interestingly, that was the question that was asked of Tim Kaine. Let's watch his response. Let's roll the tape.
Well, one big sticking point with Republicans seems to be raising the minimum wage to $15 an hour. Your fellow Democratic Senator Joe Manchin has also said that he's not in favor of it. The pros and cons of the proposal aside, would it be worth kicking that can down the road a little bit if it meant a bipartisan bill? I believe it was Senator Cassidy who said yesterday, it doesn't matter how much you're going to get paid if you don't have a job.
Well, I'm a strong supporter in increasing the minimum wage. Lindsay, I know you guys have covered this. It's been so long since it's been raised, and we're in a situation now in much of the country. If you work full-time for minimum wage, and 2/3 of people who work full-time for minimum wage are women, and you have a couple of dependents, you will be at or below the poverty level in some, especially some high cost of living markets. I think we ought to have a minimum wage that's set at a level where you can work full time and with a couple of dependents not be below the poverty level. So I think we need to raise the minimum wage. Now, look, a reconciliation vehicle requires that you get 50 votes plus potentially a tiebreaker from the vice president. So if there are folks on the Democratic side, I support the minimum wage increase. If there are folks who don't, then that can complicate the path on using reconciliation for it. And I've heard the president say perhaps he'll narrow it down to raising the minimum wage for all the federal workforce, obviously federal employees, but also federal contractors. That would be something more within executive power to be able to do. So there's still a lot of options, and this will play out over the course of the next few weeks between now and
$15 now minimum wage. Speaking of support, the Democrats clearly support impeachment, but they also recognize that an acquittal is more likely than a conviction simply because of the feeling amongst the Republicans in the Senate. So what Tim Kaine said was rather interesting. He said Republicans are about to see gruesome, graphic evidence about what happened on the 6th of January, just mind-blowing. And he says, we have a good faith alternative, meaning him and Senator Susan Collins from Maine. There's Senator Susan Collins from Maine. How are you, Senator Collins? Senator Susan Collins and Senator Tim Kaine from Virginia now have an alternative. They have a good faith alternative for something that should happen in case impeachment doesn't happen. And I actually have reported that on our channel. It is censure, trying to prevent Donald Trump from running again, which is an alternative that Susan Collins, the Republican senator from Maine, is also getting behind. Pretty interesting comments from Tim Kaine. Let's roll the tape and hear what he had to say.
Bluntly today, not enough Republicans will support it because they are not sure they want to put a hurdle in Donald Trump's way if he should ever run again. And not enough Democrats are going to support it because they think it should be conviction or nothing. Here's my hope. The idea is now out and everybody understands this. If we get into this trial next week, Republicans, I think, are going to see some graphic and gruesome evidence that might make them think, even if I'm not going to vote to convict, we have to do something. And Democrats might think, you know what, on this evidence, it would be a shame to have all the headlines say Trump acquitted again. Is there another alternative? So Susan Collins and I have a good faith alternative on the table that we think would have real practical consequences for a future Donald Trump candidacy. It doesn't have enough support now, but as we get into the trial, possibly people will look at it as an alternative.
That's it, everyone. Let me know your thoughts on these comments from Tim Kaine, the Democrat from Virginia, about stimulus, about the $15 an hour minimum wage, and about impeachment versus censure. Let me know what you think in the comment section below. If you learned something new, please give me a like. I would really appreciate that. Please subscribe. Please enable notifications. That would mean a lot to me. That really helps out the YouTube algorithm. Thank you so much for watching. I'm looking forward to seeing you in the next video.